just get into a slide.
We've got Movement Mortgage, welcome. LV Mortgage,
All right,
welcome.
guys. So I want to just open up with a few key concepts. This training is all about mortgage strategies. And so I want to just define what is a mortgage strategy for you and give you some foundational content that will help you. This is not like what you're looking at on my screen. This is a fee worksheet, rate, payment, cash to close. That's what most families get when they get a mortgage. That's probably some version of this is what you guys are doing. That example from Quicken right there, that's a week old. That's someone that got a loan with Quicken that, it's a week old. That's what it looks like. So that's not a mortgage strategy. A mortgage strategy is where you're providing graphs, you're providing charts, and there are some really fundamental things that make a mortgage strategy a mortgage strategy. And those three fundamental things are options. Like if you're not giving a family options, it's not a mortgage strategy. And by the way, family can't make the most informed decision possible. If you're not comparing those options over time, it's not a mortgage strategy. And always be looking for an opportunity to pay off the house faster, whatever the long-term goals of the client are. They want to build wealth faster. Okay, what if you moved up into a new home, you didn't put all your money down, and you put some of it in the bank in an interest-bearing account, and you bought a bigger home? Now we're talking about a move-up strategy. Really powerful idea in today's market. So take a screenshot of this. By definition, mortgage strategy must have 2 or more loan options, must have the transparency of cost over time, and you must be looking for financial strategies to get out of debt faster. So that's just some foundational stuff. From a selling perspective, guys, these are some words that have come up in a lot of interviews where the best mortgage strategy always beats rate. Or I'd rather have like the lowest rate at the wrong strategy could cost you a fortune. Here's a script that Todd Duncan uses, because one thing that's important, while Brian and most of this training is going to be teaching you how to use our technology to create mortgage strategies, if you don't know how to explain them to clients, it doesn't help. So that's why I interview someone every Tuesday. This week's interview with Amber Kovark is a must watch. I'll put a link in chat in a minute. And if I can, I'll come back in and I'll share some of the strategies that Amber's doing. She did both a refi strategy and a move up strategy that I think is foundational. So I'll show that in a minute, but just write this down, get this script. And like all scripts, guys, it's like we're giving you content, you got to make it yours. But with that said, our goal is to help you deliver mortgage strategies, whether it's virtual, it is pure Zoom, self-education. Someday again, we'll meet clients in office again. We're here to teach you strategies with Mortgage Coach. And one more slide I want to make sure I show before I hand it off to Brian. To be a black belt at Mortgage Coach, that's 300 total cost analysis. And these are the 12 foundational strategies that we teach in this class. So Brian can't teach all 12 over the next 50 minutes, but he can teach 2, 3 of these, and he can answer questions on maybe 3 or 4. So I would just recommend anybody who's on this call, if there's one strategy you want to make sure you learn today, put that in chat. Brian, I think might have a poll that he can put up. But these are the 12 strategies that we think if you've done 300 TCAs and you know how to do all 12 of these, you're going to kill it. You're going to be the best loan officer, the best mortgage planner you can be. Hand off to you, Brian.
All right, perfect. Well, let me go ahead and share my screen. There we go. And as Dave mentioned, I do have a poll ready to go. And the poll is going to help me in a couple ways. First off, it's going to help me understand, where you folks are at as a mortgage professional. Dave, can you hear me okay?
Hear you perfectly.
Okay. All right. I just heard the fan go on my computer and it's not letting me share here. It looks like it's having a little issue. There we go. Okay.
Oh, I was going to say, guys, I just put a link to, it's called Beyond the Mortgage Transaction. I put a link to that, and I'm going to put a few of Amber's TCAs. So don't stay focused on Brian, but there's some breadcrumbs to more value for you there.
Okay, let me go ahead and launch that poll because it's going to serve a couple purposes. First off, it's going to let me know where you're at with your mortgage coach knowledge. And then secondly, you know, everybody's in slightly different markets. A particular strategy may be of value to you. You know, the market conditions right now, a lot of people are doing refinances. So I'm going to go ahead and launch this poll. It's going to help me understand where you're at with your mortgage coach knowledge, as well as letting me understand, notifying me as to, you know, which strategy would be the most meaningful for me to begin the presentation with and start sharing with you. So the quicker you go through this information, the quicker we can go ahead and get started with this. So please take a look at the poll, respond to both the question and where you're at with your mortgage coach knowledge. That would be great. So I've gotten one response so far, and I know how many people are in the workshop. I need to get at least to 50% before I can go ahead and move forward. So folks, the quicker you just take a quick look at that poll and respond. There we go. We're getting closer now. And as Dave mentioned, I haven't had a chance to take a look at that call yet, but Amber, I know, is a top-notch mortgage professional, and I am looking forward to being able to review that. You're going to get a great nugget of information. So please take a look in the chat area. I see that Dave has placed the YouTube call as well as sample presentations. Anytime that you can get your hands on a sample presentation like that, it's going to be a big value to you. So you're going to see how a top producing mortgage professional is using Mortgage Coach. You're not hearing it from the Mortgage Coach people. So I would highly encourage you to go ahead and click on all of those links and review them in a little bit.
Hey, Brian, while you're doing that, if you don't mind, because I've got to jump to another meeting, and I want to make sure you guys at least get some color around these TCAs. So I'm going to share it real quick. Do you mind if I just spend 3 minutes doing that, Brian?
Absolutely. And I did get some more results in the poll. So thanks, folks.
All right, guys. So Amber, in this top producer interview I did, she shared two strategies. One of them was a refi strategy. And the important things that she's doing with every single refi is she's always saying, hey, here's your current loan, column A. Here's the refinance. And in this particular case, she said this was a lot. Like most of her clients aren't saving $529 a month. But every time someone's saving their monthly savings, she is showing what if you reinvested that, how much faster would you pay off your home? So what if you paid an extra $529 every month? We refied, we got you the lower rate, and then, hang on, I want to close that. What would that do? The other thing that's important about her refi analysis is she has a minute and 24, 1 minute and 24 second video. And she says, I always put a video on my refis because I'm doing purchases during the day and I'm doing refis in off hours. And this way I can just do it. I can send it to them and they just email me back saying, let's go. I want option A, let's do it. So it's time savings and it's a great strategy. So want to make sure you got that. And then from a move up, she's consistently, every refi analysis she's doing, she's saying, and she's asking them, hey, are you happy with your current home? And if they're like, well, I'm thinking about moving up, I'm thinking about it, or I'd like to, she's doing a, hey, you could refi, lower your monthly payment, or you could move up and only put 5% down. Now, in this case, that client could have put an extra 125,000. They had enough equity that they didn't have to put 5%. They could put more down. And she said, or you could put less down and put that 125 in the bank. And when you look down at this, you'll notice that the biggest wealth accumulation was put less down and invest 125. So we're calling this a move up analysis. So I just wanted you to see that, study that. I do think this is a required TCA for every loan officer that wants to be the most valuable loan officer to the family they serves. You should know how to do a Mortgage Coach refi. and you should know how to do a mortgage coach move up. So whether or not you cover those today or not, Brian, just, I want to make sure everybody got that.
Perfect. Thanks, sir, Dave.
And I
All
got
right.
to jam everybody. So have a great training with Brian, and make sure you ask questions and engage.
All right. Thanks, Dave. Take care. All right, guys, I got the results of the poll in. Thanks so much for doing that. And I see that, for the majority of you folks, you're just getting started with Mortgage Coach. You've built less than 20 total cost analysis presentations. So I think this call is very important for you because you're going to be able to see how you can utilize these particular strategies to connect with the different types of borrowers that you have conversations with. So I think this particular call is going to really help you with the why. Why should I, use Mortgage Coach? How is it going to help me connect with my clients? So majority of you, white belt, you guys are all together. And it looks like the majority of people, I can see that we're going to cover 3 presentations today. A lot of you were asking for the rent versus own presentation, first time home buyer. That was probably the most requested one, followed up by the refinance scenario. And then in last place, we had annual mortgage reviews and the cost of waiting. So I'm going to cover the 3 most requested ones, and that would be the rent versus own, the refinance, and let's see here. Yeah, refinance, rent versus own, and then we'll do the cost of waiting as well. So we'll focus on those 3. So I do have a couple of those teed up already. And what I'm going to do to help you folks is I'm going to take the link to the presentation and I'm going to put it in the chat area for you. Let's see here. Got a question. And please do keep the questions coming in. Let's see here. Can you please share what programs that you have available in addition to monthly MC app? Okay, I'm not quite clear what you mean by that. Are you talking about, let's see, programs that if you can, I'm sorry, I'm just not understanding the question completely. So if you can maybe elaborate a little bit more on that, I'll be happy to answer it for you. And while you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and jump into the refinance presentation. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the link to my presentation and I'm going to put it in the chat area. It's going to allow me to do 2 things. First off, it's going to allow me to show how you can use the technology that you have access to and use it in a presentation with a borrower. So I'm going to take the link and I'm going to provide it to you just as if you were a borrower. Okay, any additional coaching? Okay, now I understand. Okay. So on our website, so the question was, what type of training is available to you? So if you go to our calendar here and click on calendar, we have training available for you basically every single day of the week. And many of you are beginners. I mean, you're just getting started with Mortgage Coach. So if you haven't already done so, highly encourage every new person on the call to attend a Monday Intro to Mortgage Coach workshop right here. Intro to Mortgage Coach. It's available every Monday, 9 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. That's probably the very first starting point for everybody and it's a live trainer just like right now, so they'll be able to respond to your questions. Additionally, we have the Thursday QA session. So as you advance a little bit, you're going to have questions. It's inevitable that you're going to have questions about Mortgage Coach, and you can contact a live trainer via the QA session and ask questions. Now, what happens if you get stuck though and you're building a presentation? You can't wait until Thursday. You can't wait until Monday. Reach out to our support team via the chat bubble icon down here in the bottom right-hand corner. See, I'm clicking on that right now. You can engage with one of our team members that are on standby waiting for your Mortgage Coach question to come in. So connect with them via chat. They'll be happy to answer the question that you have. So lots of resources available for you. And by the way, the chat team or the team support team is available Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific time. And on the weekends, if you need help, you can click right up here on the help button in the advice engine, and that'll drop you into what we call our, I guess you could say, our support center. Type in any particular subject that you're looking for, and you'll most likely have a YouTube tutorial along with FAQs. And since I said YouTube, it made me remember our YouTube channel. Folks, if you haven't subscribed to this yet, you're missing out. You want to make sure that you subscribe to this, because here's that call that Dave was referencing that he just did the interview on yesterday. So he interviews top producing mortgage professionals. They're recorded. You can watch them as many times as you want to get their scripting, get what they're introducing. And these are people that are very successful. So if you're new to the business and you want to accelerate how quickly you can succeed, these people open up their playbook, they lay it on the table, and they say, here's how you can learn. So YouTube is great. And then also we have a Facebook group. So I've covered, I mean, all the different resources that, that are available for you. And there's many of them. So, you know, it's on you. You can be as aggressive as you want in accelerating your learning curve as much as you possibly can. The resources are there for you to help you. Okay, so back to our content for today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the link to this particular presentation. I've got to find it here. We're not going to be covering MI options, so I'm going to get rid of that one. I'm just going to start getting rid of the ones. Okay, here's cost of waiting. I promise that we're going to cover that one. Here's annual mortgage review. I'll leave that one up in case we do have a chance to cover it. Here's the refi. Okay, so I'm going to take the link to this and I'm going to put it in the chat area for everybody to take a look at. So let me go ahead, click on share. This is how you share your presentation, your mortgage coach presentation with your borrowers and your realtor partners. This is a dynamic hyperlink, and I'm going to put it into the chat area for you folks. There we go. So by you clicking on that link, it's going to do two things. First off, it's going to allow you to sit on the opposite side of the table, if you were. What is my borrower? What is the experience that my borrower is going to have when they receive my mortgage coach presentation and I present loan options this way? So I highly encourage you folks to click on that link so that you can sit in the borrower seat, opposite side of the table, and get an understanding of the value that they get from their perspective when you present mortgage options in this way. And I could look up here in the top right-hand corner, see where it says view 0? So as a mortgage professional, I can see who is actually, or how many of you have actually clicked on that link. And I know there's more than, okay, good, that number's going up too. You guys are following instructions. The other benefit to you, so you could be selfish about this, is that I'm not going to delete that link. That's a link that I use for training purposes. So if you like what you see in that link and you would like to duplicate that, the easiest way to do it is to have access to that link, just like Dave put in those links for Amber. If you wanted to duplicate what she's doing, easiest way is to duplicate it by seeing that presentation. So you can get the benefit of the borrower experience as well as having access to that link. So there's only 2, and again, there's more of you that are in the workshop. And rather than checking your emails or your texts, this is your purpose in attending the workshop. This is where you're going to get the value. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with clearing out the highlights on the presentation to begin my presentation to you folks. So you can see right here, I can click on clear all. It's like an old school eraser. Once I do that, it removes the highlights on my screen. Now, anything that I do as far as highlighting on my screen is also going to highlight on the borrower screen. That's the value of, as I mentioned, clicking on the link and accessing it so you can have the borrower's experience. Now, I'll give you a quick tip here too as well. When you deliver the presentation to your borrower, I would encourage you folks to personalize it to them. Make it personal for them. And anytime you personalize something, it makes it special to your borrower. So rather than sending the borrower the hyperlink that looks like this, which can be a little bit computerish, what you may want to do is personalize that. So say I'm having a conversation with the Smith family. So let me go ahead and type in Smith family mortgage options. Now what I can do using Outlook, Microsoft Outlook, is simply highlight the text that I want the borrower to click on, right click on it, and see the hyperlink right there? Take that, and then where it says address, put the Mortgage Coach hyperlink in there. So I've just pasted it in there, and now click OK. So now for the borrower to view your Mortgage Coach presentation, rather than clicking on something that looks a little computerish, they can click on something that's very personalized to them, click on it, and it's going to go ahead and drive them to their Mortgage Coach presentation. Now, if you're going to use the process that I'm sharing with you right now, what I would suggest is that do not send them the presentation link until about 5 minutes before you're actually going to meet with them. So what you do is you set up a meeting with them, say 3 o'clock this afternoon. Deliver that link to them about 5 minutes before, because you want to be able to get the reaction of the borrower, the feedback from the borrower, hear from the borrower when you're presenting your loan options to them. That's where the real value comes in, because you can make changes on the fly to your presentation while you've got all the decision makers on the call for you. Is anybody, by the way, doing any Zoom loan presentations or GoToWebinar or any other type of web-based presentations with your borrowers now? Could you raise your hand if you're doing that, so I get an idea? There's a chat, or in your in the control panel, there's a little hand icon, and you can raise your hand, or you can type something in the chat area. But I'm very curious, because if you're not doing it yet, I would encourage you to start working that into your workflow in how you're presenting loan options to your clients, because you're going to be able to meet with more clients more efficiently, and utilizing some type of web-based presentation along with what I'm going to show you here. It's a powerful, very, very powerful loan presentation. So if you're not doing it yet, highly encourage you to look into it. At the very least, use what we call the Mortgage Coach live experience with your borrowers. So let me go ahead and pull up the presentation here real quick. Let's see here. I want to make sure I have the correct one. So I'm going to go to my database. And again, I'm giving you guys plenty of time to click on that link. If you haven't already done so, encourage you to do it so that you get, the borrower's experience here. Okay. So the borrower has the presentation open. And let me just get it right up front here so I can follow it. There it is. Nope. There it is. Okay. All right. So you've got the borrower on the phone, or you've got a webinar open up like this. They've accessed the presentation. You've confirmed it by seeing up here in the top right-hand corner that they were successfully viewing it. You also can confirm it, by the way, every time that your borrower opens up your Mortgage Coach presentation, you'll receive an alert notification sent to you via email. And this is exactly what it looks like from somebody that opened up the presentation just a moment ago. It's going to let you know that they've accessed the presentation, and you're going to be able to see, after they've clicked off of it, how much time that they spent on it. This is very valuable to you, especially if maybe it's somebody that you've been chasing and have been having a difficult time getting on the phone. When you see this alert notification pop up either via email, or if you're using the mobile app, you'll get the alert notification, and you've been having trouble reaching that client, this is a good way for you to reach out to them, because you know that that presentation is being viewed. So it's a good opportunity for you to dive in and try and contact that borrower. Okay. All right. So they've clicked on the link. They're viewing the Mortgage Coach presentation. I'm just going to get rid of some of these so it's clear. Now I can go ahead, and this is a refinance presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and confirm some of the details about their existing loan. So I'm going to confirm that they have an interest rate of 4.875% right now. Their current loan balance is about $331,000. This is their monthly payment. Now, as I'm doing this, folks, what I am highlighting on my screen is also being highlighted on the borrower screen. So for the two of you that have clicked on it, you're also seeing these the highlight appear on your screen as well. So after I've confirmed the details of their current loan, make sure that I'm 100% accurate, I can now go ahead and transition over to my proposed loan. This is the loan option that I'm proposing to them. I'm showing them that I can reduce their interest rate from 4.875 to 2.875. In the process of doing that, they're going to be able to save $404.84 on a monthly basis. They are, however, going to be resetting the clock to 30 years from a little under 28 years. And this is where I could go ahead and show the value of them refinancing. Now, how many of you would send the presentation to the borrower like this right now? You're providing them with this particular option, this cash flow option, and showing them the interest rate being able to reduce. If you would send them the presentation like this, I would encourage you to, yeah, exactly. Larry typed it in there. Guys, you've got to give them more options. You've got to show them that you can provide them with multiple options. The reason being is that when you send the borrower a single option, you're putting them in a position where they can respond in one of two ways. One way you're going to be happy with, they can say, yes, let's get going. What's my next step? The second way is no. Maybe this borrower's talked to some other lenders and the proposed rate that you have there is higher than what they might have spoken with somebody else. And then that's all they think that you're able to provide them with. So even if the borrower is only interested in a specific type of loan, it's always a good practice to provide them that same loan, but with a different rate option, either higher or lower, because maybe they might need some help with some closing costs or funds to close, and they may be willing to take a higher rate in return for you giving them some help with the closing costs, being able to help them with money. Or you got to keep yourself in the game, right? You've got to be able to show them that you have any rate available. Maybe you need to show them that you have 2.5, 2.75, 2.625 in there. It does come with some extra cost. And then you can have a conversation with them. Is it going to make sense based upon the time that you're actually going to be in the house? But if you only give them one option, you no longer have the ability to have that extra dialogue, that extra conversation, and the opportunity to educate them about what it takes to get those lower rates. And is it going to make sense based upon the time that you're in there? Is that truly going to give you the lowest total cost while you're in the house? Does that make sense to everybody? Always provide them with options, like on that slide that Dave shared with you, the three elements to making a smart mortgage decision. So in preparation for this, I'm going to go ahead and bring up another option. So I've got 4 options on this presentation that I'm going to share with you and walk you through each of the details here. So I'm going to go to this cash flow option 2. And let me just quickly see what that is. That is a rate 2.65. There we go. So they're going to pay some extra funds, some prepaid interest, some points, if you will, to be able to get that slightly lower interest rate. So I can have a conversation. This helps keep myself in the game, if you will, because they may speak with somebody else and somebody else is going to tell them, oh, we can get you 2.625, but they may not share all the details about how they're getting them that rate. And then when you start taking a look at, based upon how long they're going to be in the house, how long is it going to take for them to get the benefit of paying those extra costs? Is it going to be consistent with how long they're going to be in the house? Let me make a change to the presentation here. Let me make, we're going to go to the analysis area here. And I'm going to change this to interest paid because that's probably going to be the topic of the conversation. So interest, and I'll make the time horizon, let's say 10 years. So I'm doing this all on the fly while the borrower could be viewing the presentation so that as I'm gathering information, actively listening to my borrower, I can go ahead and make these changes so I can go ahead and paint that picture for them. So now what I'm showing them, if the borrower decides maybe they're having some hesitation about refinancing, this is showing them how much interest that they'll pay in 10 years. They said that they're going to be in the house for 10 years. Maybe they're having a hard time deciding, should I refinance? Well, if they don't refinance and take advantage of the lower interest rate, look how much interest that they're losing out in savings. You can see right here, it's pointing out that they're going to lose out on the opportunity to save about $60,000 in interest at the rate at 2.875, and an additional $7,000 if they want to pay the extra cost to get the rate at 2.625%. So this is where you transition to becoming a mortgage advisor rather than somebody that's very, say, very transactional oriented and only speaking to your borrower about rates and fees. You're painting a bigger picture that will help them see the value of a particular interest rate. And there, yes, you can compare ARM products to fixed rate products, different, 15-year, 10-year, anything that you could think of as far as, what is going to benefit the borrower. So there you go. That's how you can keep yourself in the game, especially for those people that are potentially going to rate shop you. Now, that strategy that Dave shared that Amber utilizes. Well, take a look at this one. I'm going to get rid of the cash flow option too. And now I'm going to go ahead and click on this one that says same payment. So in this particular analysis, in this strategy, I'm going to go ahead and go to analysis, and I'm going to click on this adjust reinvestment strategy button here. Okay, this is where you do all the adjustments that I'm going to show you right now. So when you build the presentation, let me make sure everybody understands this. You have this ribbon over here on the left-hand side. I call it the quick navigation ribbon. And right here where it says analysis, you'll find a button that says adjust reinvestment strategy. Go ahead and click on that. And this details all of the different product options. So maybe you're wondering if you've got a borrower when their mortgage insurance is going to come off. Well, you can see right here, it's going to tell you the mortgage cutoff point will occur at, 27.6 years or whatever it is. In this case, I don't have any mortgage insurance tied to this particular scenario. It's also going to show the freedom point when the loan is going to be paid off. So you can see here in the cash flow example, they're going to save $404.84 over their current loan. But I want to take that and show them that if they make the same payment as the loan that they currently have right now, just as what Dave was talking about, what Amber does, what is going to be the value to the borrower? Well, if they refinance and they apply the savings, provided that they're able to, they don't need it for another purpose, but back towards principal reduction, it will reduce the term of their loan down to 20.67 years rather than 27.67. So it's going to take a full 7 years off of the life of the loan. So for those of you that are working with borrowers that have the question, what happens if I add an extra $50 to the payment? What happens if I add an extra $100? You would simply put that dollar amount right here where it says reduction payment. And what that'll do for you is it'll calculate both how it'll accelerate the freedom point and accelerate how quickly they'll be able to get out of that mortgage insurance. So let's look and see, what does a borrower see on this presentation then? So now they're seeing, here's the refinance, or here's their current loan. Here's the refinance if they were to pocket the money. And here's the refinance if they were to take that money and apply it towards principal reduction. You can see it reduces the term of their loan down to 20.67 years. What I would suggest is, if you're working with your borrower then, that it's going to take them about 28 years to pay off their loan. So I'm going to set the long-term analysis to 28 years. And I'm going to show them how much interest in MI that they're going to save by doing that. So once again, I'll make that adjustment. The presentation will update here in a second. There we go. So now, by making the same payment as their existing loan, I mean, this is huge. They're going to save $106 $69,000 in interest just by maintaining the same payment that they're currently making now. They'll have their loan paid off in 20 years and save a tremendous amount of money. This is where you add extra value when you're meeting with your clients. Now, are they going to do that? They may not, but you're educating them. You're separating yourself from your competition. You're having conversations with them about content that is beyond what your rate and what your fees. Lastly, okay, let me show you this other one. You might have noticed that I had a fourth strategy in there. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of same payment. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put investment. So let's take a look and see what it looks like right now. And then I'm going to make some additional adjustments. So with the investment option here, we're going to show them that rather than pocketing the $404.84, let's take that money and put it into an investment account so that you can earn interest rather than pay interest. Is anybody working with financial planners in the workshop? Does anybody work with financial planners? If you are not yet, I would highly encourage you to do that, because this is a way that you can tie them into the conversation with your mutual client. Get their advice as to if they're going to take that savings of $404.84 and put it into an investment account, what could they expect to get for a rate of return in a particular investment? So that would be a great way for you to start forming relationships with referral partners such as financial advisors to help you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the advice engine, and again, in the analysis area here, adjust reinvestment strategy. Let's look and see what that's going to do for us. So this is where you put in the details for the principal reduction. Down here at the bottom, you can see that the borrower is going to take the savings amount that they're getting in this investment one. Let me go ahead and zero that out and just confirm that I have the correct payment. Okay, so with this investment product option, yes, they're going to save $379.99. The financial advisors advise that they can get a rate of return of 6%. Some of you might be saying, oh, that's too conservative. Others of you are probably saying it's way too high. But again, it's based upon what the financial advisor is telling you, or the average. But take a look at what that's going to do for the borrower. In 28 years, what is that going to do? Well, in 28 years, they're going to have $330,000 in that investment account by taking that money and putting it into an investment account. And you can change that metrics. Let's say that they know they have retirement coming up in 20 years. So we're going to change that long-term analysis to 20 years, and we're going to come over here where it says long-term chart type. We're going to change it to net worth. Let me go ahead and move forward. Look at the picture the borrower is going to see now. So it's not going to be interest in 20 years. It's going to be, let this update once more, net worth in 20 years. Let me unhighlight that. See the two colors there? So it's showing them the property value in 20 years with assuming a 4% property appreciation rate. Let me click on that and I'll show you more details, but I just want you to see the two colors. The gold portion is for the asset accumulation. And this is where you would have the conversation with the borrower if you're working with them in this case. So you can see that they're going to have a net worth of over $1 million. The home value is going to be valued at $986,000. Their loan balance is going to be about $148,000, and the investment balance is going to be $175,000. So if you add investment balance to home value and subtract mortgage balance, that's where you get the net worth. But that's where you can paint the picture. You mentioned you wanted to retire. Your financial advisor said that 6% rate of return is very appropriate. Take the savings that you're going to recognize from doing the refinance, put it into that investment account. 20 years when you get to retirement age, or what your goal age of when you'd like to retire, you're going to have $175,000 in there for you. Again, completely different type of conversation than what's your rate and what's your fees. When you are able to move the conversation from this area of the mortgage coach presentation to this area, you basically, I mean, the conversation is no longer about rate and fees. You're painting completely different pictures. You're showing the borrower much, much more value. It's just a completely different way of doing business with your clients in a way that's going to help you with your conversion. Okay, so that link, like I said, is in the chat area. I placed it there for you. You're able to copy it. This call is being recorded. I'm going to, it's going to be posted on our YouTube channel so that you'll have access to it. So if you'd like to review it and see the steps of how I did certain things, you're welcome to watch that. But I want to make sure, does anybody have any questions at this point before I move on? Does it make sense to you? Do you kind of see the why now as to how powerful Mortgage Coach can be for you once you put it in play? Any questions? Anything I can help you out with before we move forward? Because I do want to cover those two other strategies. Okay, let's tackle the first-time home buyer, because that was the next presentation that got the most requests. And the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to show you, I'm going to do two things for you. I'm going to show you how you can use what's called a strategy template along with your first-time home buyer presentation and have a conversation with them about 3 key components of being a homeowner. Okay, so to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back here to my Mortgage Coach dashboard. Now, in my account, I have what's called, you can see this tab right here, and some of you may have it as well, the Strategy Template tab. And if you work with a lot of first-time home buyers, you can see that I've got a presentation teed up right here, ready to go. So when you've built a strategy template, it can be repurposed for multiple borrowers going forward, and it's a big time saver. First off, let me go into the strategy template so you can see what I've already put in there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how you would repurpose that strategy template. So let me open it up, show you what it is first. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that, edit the template. So if you work with a lot of first-time home buyers and you present to them, say, an FHA loan versus a 3% home ready product. Some of you on the call may do that every single day. You always have a conversation with at least one first-time home buyer a day, and you always present these two options to them. It doesn't have to be these two. It could be any of the options that you have available to you. But the beauty of setting up a strategy template is that I'm doing a little bit of data entry in advance that's going to give me the ability to repurpose the same presentation over and over again, so I don't have to reinvent the wheel every single time I want to provide my client with a borrower. Every time I want to provide my client with a Mortgage Coach presentation. Okay, so here we go. Here's the first page where I did the data entry. I set it up as a first-time home buyer presentation, and it's going to be comparing a 3.5% FHA loan versus a 3% conventional. Okay, so I'm going to compare those two loans. Let me go ahead and advance next. I'm not going to do any details in here. I can if I want to, if it's going to add value to the borrower or myself, but I'm not going to put a property address at this time. You can see this is going to be a rent versus own presentation. So it's going to be, my goal is going to be get my first home. And then I'm going to put these details in once I've interviewed my borrower and I know what they're paying for a rent on a monthly basis. I can also come in here and put in their tax information, which is one of those 3 key elements, the benefit of being a homeowner that you want to add to the presentation. These are great questions to ask your borrower, but they're not mandatory to put in. I'm going to go right to the product now. So I've labeled my product 3.5% down payment FHA. I've already set it up with the appropriate down payment amounts. The interest rate changes on a daily basis, so I'm not going to put that in. It is a 360-month, 30-year fixed rate term. And I am going to add my closing cost to this one. Say I only originate loans in one state and the closing costs are consistent. So I've already got my closing costs teed up, ready to go by utilizing a closing cost fee template, just like this. Now down here at the very bottom of the screen, you can see that I've got the mortgage insurance upfront and my mortgage insurance factor calculated in the loan amount. So it's going to be financed in the loan amount. Going to the next page, I've got my property taxes, hazard insurance, MI, everything all teed up, all my reserves teed up. I did the exact same thing for that 3% down payment option. Okay, so I've got it all teed up, ready to go, so that I can repurpose this presentation for multiple borrowers going forward. This is what's called a strategy template. So let's say I have a meeting with a borrower in 15 minutes and I want to present those two loan options to them. All I do is go to my strategy template folder, find the presentation right here, click on it, and then copy to new client. Copy to new client. Let's say my borrower's name is, I'm going to say, I'll say Dave. Okay, so I'm going to say my borrower's name is Dave Savage. So I've only entered my borrower's name. That's all I've done so far. So that's one piece of data entry. I'm advancing to the next screen. It's already got my goal identified. All I have to do is enter what they're paying for rent. Dave, what are you paying for rent? I'm paying $2,000 a month rent. Did you get a rent increase the last time that your lease was up for renewal? Yeah, you know what? Then my landlord's going to raise my rent 3%. Okay. Are you paying anything for like rental insurance, like for the interior contents of your home? Oh yeah, I'm paying $45 a month. Okay, so I just captured those details in there. So I've entered details on this particular screen. You don't have to enter the rent insurance, but you want to complete, or you want to get as accurate a picture as possible. Now, as I do is I go to my product option here and enter my purchase price. We're looking at about a $300,000 purchase price. So I put that in there. There's my third data point. It's already got my down payment amount in there. It calculates my base loan amount for me. All I have to do is populate the interest rate. Well, great news for you. Today we're looking at rates, you know, in the mid to high 2% range. Let's put in a figure of 2.75% to show you what your monthly payment would look like. Now I go to next. It's already populated all my closing costs in there for me, my MI factor. If I need to show them points for that particular rate, I can go ahead and enter that. And it's already got all my monthly costs in there. You can see the calculations in there. That easily, I've now been able to build the first product option for the borrower. And let's go ahead and go to next. I'm going to duplicate that process for the conventional loan. Again, purchase price $300,000. In this case, all I'm going to have to do is enter the interest rate. What did I put? 2.75 on that one. Let's go 2.875 on the 30-year. Let's go 3%. There we go, 3%. It's got my closing costs tied to it already done. The only thing that I'm going to have to do is add my monthly MI. Let's say the borrower's factor is 0.7, just to pull a number out of my hat, and I'm done. Now, if you want to have a conversation with your borrower about the tax benefit, which, you know, some of you may be comfortable with that, some of you not. Right now, let's do a preview of the presentation. I'll show you what it looks like without the tax benefit. But I would encourage you folks to, you know, become more educated about that so that you can have those conversations with your borrower. And I'll show you how that can have an impact on your presentation here in a second. But let's begin with, here's the borrower's current rental situation. Remember I said $2,000 a month plus $45 for the rental insurance. So this is their outgo now. Here's the first product option with the borrower's all-in monthly mortgage payment of 1807.60. Okay. Now on the very first payment that they make, $527.49 is going to go towards principal reduction. That is one of the three things that you want to make sure that you're covering with your borrowers when you go through a rent versus own first-time home buyer, because that is like having a forced savings account. Every month they're contributing money into that savings account, which is building equity in their home, and they can access the money that's available in that savings account once they either sell the house, or if they need to refinance, they can access that equity. So they're every month they're contributing to that savings plan. Now, when you take that into effect, their net monthly payment goes down to $1,280.11. So when you net things out, this is one of the big benefits of being a homeowner, is that forced savings plan. And you can see both product options here. Now, if you want to have a conversation with your borrower about the tax benefit, let me show you how you would do that. So I'm going to go ahead and come over here. Back in the assumptions area here, we're going to go ahead and put some details in here about the borrower's tax status. Let's say we have a single borrower. You can see right over here, their deduction amount is $12,000. So whether they're a homeowner or a renter, they're going to get the standard deduction of $12,000. And let's say that they're in a 22%. Let's take a look here real quick. So I can go find tax bracket. This is a quick link, by the way. So if you're not sure what your borrower's tax bracket is, based upon their income, you could go to this particular site and get a more educated guess as to what their tax bracket may be. Let's see, here's some figures for 2019. I'm just going to quickly come in. Let's say that they are in the 22% tax bracket. So I'm going to put their single $12,000 standard deduction, and I'm going to say that their tax bracket is 22%. I'm going to go next. Now what I'm also going to do is come to each of these areas, and I could have did this earlier, but I just want to make sure that everything is tax deductible. So I'm going to come over here and make sure that the property tax is deductible. I'm going to make sure the MI is deductible in this case, and then there we go. I'm going to do that for both products. So let me do that real quick. So that way these are included in the tax calculations. There we go. Okay. So let's look at the presentation now. How has that changed my presentation? You're going to notice another row now. So as I mentioned, as a single borrower with a $12,000 standard deduction, they're going to get that regardless of whether they're a renter or a homeowner. But if you take a look, using this particular product option, they're going to get a greater tax benefit because they're able to utilize write off the interest and the taxes that they're paying, and potentially the MI. So you can see that their tax benefit would be greater in this case by becoming a homeowner and utilizing either of those products. That even decreases the net monthly payment greater. Now, if you'd like more information about how to have a conversation with your borrower about these three pillars, I would encourage you to go to our YouTube channel. And there's two loan officers that do a tremendous job on this. One of them is Kevin Watson, and the other one is Denise Donoghue. In fact, I'll even make it easier for you folks. I'll put the links to the calls in the chat area for you, so that you get to listen to their scripting. Let me find it here real quick. I've got a quick link for all my, there we go. Let me just click on it real quick and I'll put the links in here. So you're going to be able to get their scripting and how they have a conversation with the borrower about those particular topics. So here's the call here. Here's Kevin Watson's. So let me share that with you. So once again, this is in the chat area for everybody. So that's Kevin Watson. And then here is Denise Donoghue. I clicked on her link. I keep myself organized here so I don't. Folks, this is where you get the value though. I mean, here is a top producing mortgage professional closing, I don't know how many loans this month, 30, 40 loans this month. And you get to hear how she presents. There we go. Okay, so this is going to be in there for you. And then the third and last item that you want to feel comfortable talking to your borrower about is the net worth, their property value. So that's the third item. So we talked about the forced savings account, principal being paid every single month, going into that savings account, building equity. I'm going to change that metrics in the analysis area on this presentation. So rather than in the long term, rather than total principal paid, I'm going to show their net worth. So this is how you show the borrower what their net worth is going to look like, what over the time horizon that they're going to be in. This is 15 years. I'm just going to let it update here in a second. There it goes, net worth in 15 years. So look at your net worth as a renter versus your net worth as a borrower. Pretty big picture, right? I mean, if you could end up, and I just threw numbers together, I realize that they might have a payment that's higher, a gross out-of-pocket payment that might be higher than what they're paying for rent. But I mean, in this case, I mean, it's a no-brainer. Why would you not want to become a homeowner? After you take into account the principal reduction, the savings plan, the tax benefits, your net monthly payment is so much more lower than what your out-of-pocket is as a renter, plus the net worth that you're getting. I mean, when you're able to educate a borrower, especially for those of you that are going to maybe doing first-time home buyer seminars, utilize this presentation this way. I mean, it completely separates yourself from your competition. We're right at the top of the hour, and I apologize for going a minute longer. Before I wrap up the call, any last minute questions? Can I help you guys in any other ways before we go ahead and wrap up for the day? Any other comments, questions, anything I can help you with? You guys are pretty quiet. All right. Well, I hope that you got value in attending the workshop. More importantly, I hope that I inspired you to, you made an investment in Mortgage Coach. Get a return on your investment. Start utilizing it. Use it to separate yourself from your competition. It will help you with your conversion. All right, guys, have a great week. Take care. Bye-bye.